All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to talk about a journey that I think so many of us are on. That big leap from being a chronic people pleaser to someone who can actually set boundaries and protect their own energy.
Okay, let me ask you something, and be honest. Have you ever found yourself saying yes to something, another favor, another meeting, another night out, when you can feel deep down that you have absolutely nothing left in the tank? Yeah, I think we've all been there.
And you know that feeling that comes with it, that kind of dread? It's totally valid. Because here's the truth. When you give from an empty well, it is a complete lose-lose situation. You end up feeling drained, maybe a little resentful, and the other person, they aren't even getting the best version of you anyway. It's a one-way ticket to burnout.
So let's really unpack what this pattern looks like in the real world. We're going to call this first part the people pleaser's dilemma.
So see if any of these just resonate with you. You might be a people pleaser if you're constantly focused on what everyone else needs, often before you even check in with yourself. Or if you're the person who jumps in to make things less awkward for someone else, even if it makes you super uncomfortable. Maybe you crave that feeling of connection so much that you'll do almost anything to get it. And of course, the big one. If that two-letter word, no, just feels impossible to say out loud.
Let's use a super classic example. Picture this. A friend asks you to dinner. You know your emotional battery is at zero. You just want to go home, put on sweatpants, and do nothing. But you hear the word yes coming out of your mouth anyway. And that right there, that is the absolute core of the problem. Every single time you say yes to someone else, when your body and your mind are screaming no, you're actually saying no to yourself. You're saying no to your own need for rest, no to your peace, and no to valuing your own time and energy. So the big question is, why? Why do we do this? Well, I want to be really clear. It is not a character flaw. It's actually a pattern that often has really deep roots. So let's dig in a little and understand why we strive for approval so much.
This is such a powerful way to reframe it. People-pleasing isn't just a bad habit. For many of us, it was a survival skill. It's a protective strategy that we learned, usually when we were young, to help us feel valued, to feel accepted, to feel safe, especially if we grew up in places where love and approval felt like they came with conditions. Being easygoing was just safer.
And here's the most important takeaway from that. When you understand the why behind the behavior, it completely shifts your perspective. It invites compassion for yourself, not judgment. You built this tool because, at some point in your life, you needed it. It worked. The only thing is, that old coping mechanism might not be serving the adult you are today.
And that idea of compassion is the perfect bridge to our internal solution. Because if you want to change the behavior on the outside, you have to start with the mindset on the inside. And that all begins with the power of self-compassion.
So what does that even mean? Well, Dr. Kristen Neff, who's a leading researcher in this field, defines it so simply. Self-compassion is just treating yourself with the same kindness and care you'd give to a good friend who's struggling. It means choosing self-kindness over that harsh inner critic, remembering that you're not alone, that messing up is part of being human, and just noticing your feelings without letting them completely take over your world.
But here's what's so cool about this. Self-compassion isn't just soft and gentle. It has two sides. Think of it like a yin and a yang. There's the tender yin side, which is all about comforting ourselves, validating our pain, and just being with our feelings. But then there's the fierce yang side. And this is the part that takes action. It protects us, it provides for our needs, and most importantly for our conversation today, it's the side that draws boundaries. Setting a boundary is actually a profound act of fierce self-compassion.
And that fierce side is the perfect launchpad for our next section. It's about taking that internal compassion and turning it into external action. We're talking about the art of setting boundaries.
Okay, first things first, we have to bust some major myths. So many of us have these old stories in our heads. We think, oh, setting a boundary is so selfish. The new reality? A boundary is an internal guidepost, and you have to learn to trust it. We think it means being rude or mean. But you know what? There's so many ways to be respectful and clear at the same time. And the biggest myth of all, we're afraid boundaries will hurt our relationships. But the truth is, clear boundaries actually make relationships stronger because they're built on honesty and respect.
Now this next idea, this is a total game changer. There is power in the pause. A boundary doesn't always have to be this big, dramatic no. Sometimes the most effective boundary you can set is to simply not give an immediate answer. Let me check my calendar and get back to you. That pause, That's you taking your power back. It gives you a second to actually check in with yourself.
Okay, let's talk about the big one, guilt. Because let's be real, when you first start setting boundaries, you are gonna feel guilty. It's almost guaranteed. But here's the secret. Guilt is just a feeling. It's not a fact. It doesn't automatically mean you did something wrong. A huge part of this process is just learning to tolerate that discomfort, to know that the feeling will come and that it will also pass.
So you see, the goal isn't just to become a no machine. It's about making sure your yeses are intentional and authentic. So before you agree to something, try running it through this quick mental filter. First, does saying yes to this actually align with my bigger goals or my core values? And second, is this yes coming from a place of genuine desire, or is it coming from guilt or obligation or fear?
Okay, that was a lot of the why and the what. Now let's get down to the how. What can you actually do to get started? Let's talk about a practical toolkit for your first step forward.
I've got 3 super simple things you can literally start doing the second this is over. Number 1, just get in the habit of asking yourself, what do I need right now? Do you need rest, reassurance? Maybe you do need connection. Just asking the question is a huge step. 2, practice the pause we just talked about. The next time someone asks you for something, just take one deep breath before you answer. And 3rd, try writing yourself a self-compassionate letter. Seriously. Think about what you would say to a dear friend in your exact situation, and then write those words of comfort and encouragement to yourself.
And as we start to wrap up, I just want to leave you with this incredible quote from Jack Kornfield. If your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. It's so powerful, right? All that kindness and care you pour out into the world is only made stronger when it starts with a solid foundation of kindness towards yourself.
So as we close out, I'm not going to give you a huge homework assignment, just one question to think about. What is one small boundary, it could be tiny, one boundary you can set today to finally truly say yes to yourself?